My name is McKeel. I'm on the digital operations team at Walmart. And with me I have Andy Trainor, who leads our academies for the Walmart business. We'll kind of walk you through a little bit of our journey in the VR realm and how we got to where we are. And to help tee that up, we'll spend some time kind of giving you a high level of what the academies are, because I do think that helps set the stage of, as we went on this VR journey, really bringing that to life, because we had a great place to have the content held, and that's a key piece of why we're seeing the success that we do. As you kind of think through where we're at, I mean, we're trying to build a place where people can learn to grow, but even not grow within just Walmart. As you'll see some of the use cases we have, we want them to actually be successful even as they leave the four walls of the Walmart, to how can they better their community and better the world around them, not just within Walmart. So I'll turn it over to Andy. We'll talk a little bit about what the academies are.
Yeah, so as Brock mentioned, my name's Andy Trainor. I'm responsible for the academies at Walmart. The academies are the place where we train our associates in the stores. So we have 200 locations that are geographically spread across the U.S. They're dedicated facilities that we built onto live stores. It's about 3,000 square feet. They'll hold about 100 associates in each location. It's very hands-on, functional-based training. So this is where, when you get promoted, you come to the academy to learn about your new role and functionally how to do that role. We certify them, so they take a test, and that ensures they understand the content. They go back and perform that role. So they have to pass the test in order to get promoted to their next role. As I mentioned, it's very hands-on, so we spend about 70% of the time on the sales floor doing activities or actually doing the work. So we'll spend 30 minutes teaching them how to do it, then they'll go do it, then they'll participate in it, and they'll do it themselves. So we use lots of technology. We'll talk about VR here in a minute, as I know that's what everybody cares about right now. But we don't print any manuals. We don't do any PowerPoints. Everything's on an iPad. So all the content, when they come in, they're given an iPad. They take their notes on this iPad. All the content and their notes are uploaded to a cloud-based system where they can access that content and notes from anywhere they want, from any device, as long as they're a Walmart associate. And then we focus on, as I mentioned, new hires. So as you move from role to role, you come to the academy. If you move to a different area, you come to the academy. And then new change programs. So if we roll out a new way to check out customers or a new way to unload trucks, they will come to the academy to learn that new process as well. So if you look, so as I mentioned, there's 200 locations spread across the U.S. This is primarily to reduce the travel for the associates. So we're about 50 miles from any academy to any store. And that way, single-parent families, single-car families can go home every day for the training, because it could be anywhere from 1 day to 6 weeks, depending on your role and what you do within the company. We also have an audit process that ensures that the stores that the academies are in are on the correct process, so they actually see what we teach versus having to go out to the floor and see something different. Go ahead, Brock. You can go to the next one. And then just to give you an idea of the scale, so year to date we're at, and this is was last week, so we're at 390,000 associates we've trained year to date already. We'll probably hit close to 500,000. We average 7,000 associates a week that we train, so lots of volume that goes through and lots of opportunity to improve and look at new technologies to keep that training interesting. And then the big piece for us is really, how does it impact the associates? So we try to make sure that we give the community when we do things like this, and we also do a graduation ceremony. So when they finish and get certified by the academy, we do a graduation ceremony where they get to walk across the stage and actually do a real-life graduation. And what that has done is allowed the associates to really feel a connection to the store, to the community, and to the company, to really help reiterate the fact that we do want them to learn more and grow in their career. And we're also able to give them college credit for the training that they give. So not only when they graduate do we congratulate them on getting a promotion, but they also can get up to 21 college credit hours for the training that we gave them.
So knowing that background, and now you have a little bit of a glimpse of what I had visibility to sitting at Walmart, is we had this great program, and Andy talks about it. What you don't know is the branding, and these are dedicated classrooms that are attached to a store, and what they've created is top-notch as you think about training in a retail environment. So we started looking at virtual reality at Walmart just to understand, in the tech space, one of the responsibilities I have is just understanding, does it play a role? Does it fit? I have a responsibility for improving the customer experience. So it felt like there was something there. And we looked at a lot of different technologies that were out there and really just didn't find the one that had hit home. And then one of the things we try to do is look outside of just retail and enterprise and where is the tech working? Who's doing it well? And we kept hearing in the sports realm where the football programs were using VR and it was working. And so lucky for us, being in Arkansas, we went down the road and had an opportunity to actually see what some of the quarterbacks were using. And what we saw there was quarterbacks were being able to use these scenarios and get repetition in a safe environment over and over, and it was consistent for everybody who went through it. Now, you knowing what I now know with the academies, a light bulb went off. Though we're attached to a store, football programs are attached to a field, but there are those moments in time that we wanted to better prepare our associates for when they come to life. And there's also those environments where we can't really create it because it's attached to a store. That store still has customers shopping. There are moments that we know happen, but we want to be able to prepare our associates for those moments as they come to life. So we started testing in one store. Our first couple of examples that we had were, we actually had a scenario where you're standing behind a deli counter, and what's interesting is everybody initially, as you start promoting VR, is why don't you just do it with a video? Well, as you're standing at the deli counter, life happens in 360, right? And so there's a lot of things that we teach in that, and a lot of it started on the deli process. Is the meat slicer in the right spot? Do we have staffing in the right places? We could talk through all the procedural things that are going on in the background. But what also came to life was, though there were opportunities in those, while that's going on, there are two customers who are standing in front of you. One of those customers actually leaves because he gets tired of waiting. The other one waits, and he waits about 5 minutes. And if you look at reporting and talk about SLAs for customer service, you think 5 minutes, that's not too bad. But when you're in VR and you're standing in front of that person and you're trying to figure out, okay, well, why they haven't done that, and this gentleman's just waiting patiently. He's waiting, thank goodness. That's probably not always the case depending on your business if you deal with customer service. But what's impactful is the associate, and they miss some process, and that's part of the learning experience. When they walk up and hand it to the customer, he actually says, that's not what I wanted, but I'll take it anyway because I'm tired of waiting. Again, that moment would have never popped up on a report, and it would never have happened even if just you and I were standing behind the counter, because you and I wouldn't have allowed it to happen, but it happens. And so it not only talks about the deli process, but it also talked about, okay, now as a member of management, what's the conversation you have with your team about what just happened and how do we work about it differently? So we knew there was something there. The fortunate part, as Andy talked about, we test. So as we were able to test VR, we were able to track that against how we were doing in content that didn't have VR versus content that did. And we were able to show an increase in those. So it allowed us to expand. We are, as of earlier this year, in 200 academies. And as you can see, we've been doing that for about a little over a year. But as we went through the content and customer service was impactful, situational that was hard to create in store. You think about severe weather, you think about Black Friday. We can all talk about it, but until you're standing there to really understand why those procedures are important, not only from a safety, but also from a customer service, and to help bring those to life, we knew that there was an opportunity to expand this more. And so just as we originally started when Andy and I came up with this idea, we sat down and said, man, we're missing something. But how do you take a laptop and a headset and put it in every Walmart supercenter? Because the cost is expensive. It's expensive equipment. How do you protect it? How do you keep track of it? Where do you set it up in a Walmart supercenter? There's all those things, because now I don't have the classroom per se in every site, just like as nice as the academy is. And so we really started brainstorming on what that might look like.
And one thing that the reason VR has been so successful for us is it becomes experiential. So, and you all know this better than I do, but after about 30 seconds, your brain thinks it's real, right? So no matter how much you know it's not real, your brain starts to believe that you're actually in the situation that you're in. And so it goes from being a lesson to an experience. And so that's where Brock was talking about. We see test scores go 10 to 15% higher when we put them through VR because they actually experience the situation versus just being taught. And so we're very careful about what we use it for. So As he mentioned, the different situations that we don't want to create or things that are hard to remember or really important to remember. We absolutely see people come back after a year and the things they particularly remember are always the VR experience. They can recite exactly what they're supposed to do. So when you start looking at the different situations that we create in it, it really started to lend itself to how do we expand this out besides just the 200. And when we've got 1.5 million associates across the U.S., and we're going to hit 500,000 a year, how do we get to all of them and start to really impact the whole process? So I think there's a video actually that shows here kind of what we do with it. Maybe? There it goes. We put in this virtual reality technology in the academies, and we wanted to find a way to better impact associates in the community around us.
When I first heard that Walmart would be using VR training in the academies, I thought it was awesome. It was really impressive, just at the level of investment that they were willing to put in the actual training piece of our associates.
When I used the VR for the first time, it was really exciting because you didn't know what to expect. It makes you just actually feel like you're in the situation at that time, so you get that personal one-on-one training.
I was kind of skeptical at first, but no, it's totally immersive.
Typically, computers, and especially virtual reality, can be kind of scary to some people, but it's very easy.
We would teach them how to cull and what to look for in the wet wall and how to crisp and produce. How do we serve customers?
When we start planning for Black Friday or any of the other major events we have, it'll help us get that training ahead of time. That way, when it does come, we will all be ready.
We know what to look at, what other stores are seeing, how they're interacting with the customers.
It's fun, it's interactive. It's exciting as a facilitator and as an academy manager to see that excitement within your walls.
It only makes sense that as technology advances, we advance the way we train our people. And that investment, I think you'll always see a return on.
So as you think about what we kind of did in the academy, you saw one person had the headset on. I think we all agree when you put in someone in VR, it blows them away. Because it's facilitator-led, we actually project what the other person sees in the classroom. And I will tell you, we knew the person in the headset, it would be impactful. No doubt about it. What we underestimated greatly, and any of you who are trying to do this at scale, the classroom engagement was over the top. In fact, the person in the headset can't speak fast enough because the classroom is engaged. Because you think about what the day has been, they learned about it on an iPad, they took notes together, they go out on the sales floor, they see it, they touch it, they feel it, and then they come into VR, and what happens is what you see come to life is, we have associates in that class that have been with us 30 days, we have associates that have been there 30 years, and what ends up happening is this conversation begins to happen of, oh, we just talked about that. We need to look over here. Oh man, in my store we do this, we look over here. And it brings this collaboration and engagement from the entire classroom. So that's really where it started to come to life, is understanding that. And to Andy's point earlier, we focus on what's hard to create, what we don't want to create. We talked about that earlier. And then those moments that we just need you to be memorable, because let's be honest, if I put it in here, you're most likely going to remember it. Not everything we need you to walk away from is fun and exciting, but there are those things that we are very passionate about and are important to us that we want you to remember. So how do you scale? That's kind of where we're at now. So we tested in about 10 stores, the Oculus Go very early on. Great partnership with them to actually get us some units very early in the stage of their deployment. We had it in 10 sites, and we were actually using it for those of you who are familiar with Walmart and what we've done in some of the pickup space. We have orange pickup towers at some of our stores for automated GM items. So you can walk in, you scan a barcode. Well, the challenge with that is we want to roll them out quick, and you've seen some of that. But to do that, you need a tower installed, and you have to send people to locations, which is great. However, I can only send so many people to so many places, and if you want to roll it out fast, how do you do this at a larger scale? So we tested this with the Go. You go through about 4 modules. I can train you on a tower in under 20 minutes. Even everyone in this room, I guarantee you if we put you through it, you could actually set up, load, and dispense a package in that time frame. So what we started seeing in the test is a couple things. The teams that would do the training would show up to make sure that, you know, we had done what we were doing and get feedback. And they'd say, well, okay, well, let me walk you through how to set up the tower. And they're like, oh, no, we're good. We've already done it in the Go. People were standing in line to do the training. I don't know the last time you saw somebody stand in line to do a CBL, but not by choice at least. But for this, the excitement and engagement, people were wanting to be trained on the tower. So we went back to the drawing board and kind of said, you know what, there's something here. What does this look like at a scale?
Yeah, and the challenge is, for us and for everybody, right, scale is where it starts to get expensive, especially from a Walmart perspective. And so how do you justify spending, you know, buying 17,000 units with the software and the licensing and the content with training? Because training is really hard to show benefit from a financial perspective. So we started thinking about what are our biggest things that we struggle with as a company. And the big one is customer service, right? While our associates do a great job, we always have work we can do to improve that experience of what the customers expect and deserve. And so when you start to think about empathy or customer engagement, that we have a massive workforce, almost 1 million folks out in the field, that we have a hard time teaching this to because we can't bring them to a certain location. So we have to cascade it out. Anytime you cascade, you get different people with different perspectives that give a different message. With VR, we can create an empathy experience for a cashier. So imagine you're a cashier and someone comes in and they want to pay with coins. So I don't know how many of you have been a cashier in your younger days, but that's the worst nightmare, right? They're trying to dig out coins, and they're dropping on the floor. You got a long line of people all frustrated wanting to go, and the pressure and the stress just creates a very negative experience for everybody involved. But what if the associate had a way of viewing why that customer was paying with coins? So imagine that in VR, you can watch this situation happen, and then you flash back to their house earlier in the morning. And it's a parent who just got laid off from their job, has 3 kids. The kids are hungry, they've got no money, the bills are late, and he's got to find a way to feed his kids. And so he's busting piggy banks, digging through the cushion, looking for coins, and then it flashes back to the store. And the whole reason this gentleman is paying with coins is because he wants to feed his kids dinner. And so it just changes your perspective. And again, if you go back to the experience versus a lesson, talking about it is great, but when you actually watch it and feel it, it completely changes their whole perspective on what a customer is, who they are, and it puts a story with every person. So that's the kind of stuff we're working on. And then if you start to think about the payback of it, compliance training is a lot of things we have to do in the company, which everybody does. And we have computer-based learning, which are videos that you sit at a terminal and you watch it. Most people watch it. You know, and there's varying degrees of attention and retention. But we can take VR and do what you can do in 20 minutes in a video, we can do in 4 minutes in a virtual reality experience, and they remember it better. And so not only can we get better execution of what we need them to remember, but we also save 15 minutes of time that we can put back into customer service. So there's lots of benefits for it. Obviously, we're just now shipping the first group out, so more to come on it, but we're pretty excited about what it can do for our associates and customers.
We want to be thoughtful on time because we're right at the limit, so we'll kind of wrap up and we'll give you a little bit of a video of kind of what we're doing and what some of the associates have to say about it.
One of my goals, as you well know, was to make that the best store in Arkansas. We tried to take care of our customers as best we could. It's quite a story, but the success we had was because of our people.
This is your VR headset. You're just going to place that on. Let's hold your remote there.
Welcome to Walmart training.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Click each marker to learn about the different types of orders.
It's very detailed.
It feels like I'm standing in front of the tower.
I think I could touch that. I'm in the front of the
I see
store.
an associate right here on the side.
It wants me to scan a package.
I just dispensed an order.
You know, hearing about it versus, seeing it and doing it is totally different.
This is like hands-on training.
This kind of training that helps with making it faster because once you hit the floor with this, you know what you're doing.
It makes people want to learn more.
Hands-on training is important for customer service, which is everything.
This enhancement would unify the company.
Take a look at that orange tower in front of you. It can hold 297 packages.
Thank you for your
All right.
time.
Thanks.